Hello, I'm Neil Quigley and welcome to my podcast. Good news this week, as it was decided London did not need a new £200 million bridge over the River Thames covered with trees. Who thought we needed one of these in the first place? That would make that £350 million Boris and Nigel thought we paid to Brussels look like exceptional value. Big Ben's famous chimes will fall silent from next week for 4 years while they're repaired. Despite appeals from the public, we're told this has to happen. I mean, it's what happens with age. Big Barry from down my local pub, he's not as reliable as he used to be either. As Big Ben falls silent for 4 years from this Monday, many people are asking if Nigel Farage can do the same. The former First Minister for Scotland, Alex Salmond, is performing at this year's Edinburgh Festival and getting less laughs than when he was leading the country. The brilliantly named Jacob Rees-Mogg has said he's not interested in being leader of the Conservative Party, which basically means he really wants it. I say why not? As the country continues to go backwards, why not have a Victorian-sounding man in charge? There always seems to be vermin problems with world politics at the moment. The White House seems to have a mole issue, while the Houses of Parliament has a mouse problem. Why is it the Americans always seem slightly cooler? I mean, really, we should have all guessed that a man whose surname is enough name for a fart and a man whose name rhymes with wrong'un would not make great or even sane world leaders. I'm not saying that those pictures of Kim Jong-un supposedly plotting bombing attacks look weird, but it does just look like he's been watching too many films about World War II and just thinks this is what it should look like from what he's seen. I bet you could find an identical picture of Winston Churchill in the same pose. The Navy's brand new largest ever aircraft carrier arrived at its new home in Portsmouth this week. It's called the Queen Elizabeth, which will give Prince Philip lots of new jokes to use at the dinner table at Buckingham Palace, I would imagine. When the ship comes into full service in 2023, it will be able to hold 40 aircraft, which will probably mean the whole of the RAF can be stationed there by then. Arrests of passengers suspected of being drunk at airports have risen by 50% in the last year. To be fair, you need a drink to cope with the shock of all these hidden charges you accrue when you travel with these budget airlines. In other news, places that promote cheap booze are surprised when more people are getting drunk. I mean, they're just all footloose and duty-free. As Bill Gates gives away a fifth of his money to charity but still remains the world's richest person, I'm starting to think we should have all paid more attention to what that paperclip had to say from Microsoft Word. A huge computer data centre is being built inside the Arctic Circle in Norway, where the storage capacity measurement will be renamed as frostbites. Scientists reckon feeling anger can make us feel happy, so Katie Hopkins must be much happier than we thought then. A bin collection strike has been suspended in Birmingham after 50 days, which hopefully will mean the only mess of a road in the city will once again be Spaghetti Junction. Rail fares are set to increase again by around 3.5% this year. Every year we pay more and more money for a worse and worse service with late running and packed trains. It's like the England football team. The more we pay the players, the worse they perform in tournaments. It was A-Levels result day this week with students still getting their grades in letter form, but I reckon with the way things are going with emojis, in the future they'll just get sent a happy, sad or confused face against each of the subjects. If we needed proof that rock and roll might finally be dead, pineapples have been banned from this year's Reading and Leeds festivals. I bet they've become so middle class now that they'll only let you bring in avocados and quinoa instead. This week saw the 40th anniversary of the death of Elvis Presley, who was managed by a man called the Colonel who worked him like a battery chicken. No wonder he liked his fried food. Daniel Craig will once again play James Bond in the next 007 film. Fans of The Spy have admitted they are not shaken but are slightly stirred by the news. As Tom Cruise breaks his ankle during filming for the latest Mission Impossible film, the first mission they may have ever actually found impossible could be finishing the 6th movie on time. This week we've learned that goldfish could be the animal equivalent of Jesus, as scientists believe they can turn water and oxygen into alcohol to keep warm in extreme conditions. If there is such a thing as reincarnation, I want to come back as a goldfish. And finally we do discover the true meaning of the phrase, drinks like a fish. Bonnie Tyler is going to perform her song Total Eclipse of the Heart during the latest Total Eclipse, so I wonder if we can look forward to Barbara Dixon during January-February every 29th of February and Europe singing Final Countdown as Donald Trump reaches for that big red button. A strike at Argos distribution centres will severely hit the retailer's customers, a union has said, meaning Argos will not make things easy for you. I always found going there really odd, like a real-life version of the conveyor belt from the Generation game, with a continuous weird selection of stuff on those shelves. Plus, there was normally always at least one cuddly toy on show too. That's it for this week. Thanks very much for listening. Have a fantastic 7 days with lots of fun. See you next week.